And the difference between us in the last days will be essentially what we believe and what we don't. I believe that this is the remnant church. No need to try to study with me on it. I've already studied, and I have settled it in my head. I believe that Saturday, the seventh day of the week, is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. I believe that. So if you got to question somebody, find some of these other people. Not me. I believe in the spirit of prophecy. Oh yeah, I believe in its purpose. And I believe I can trust it. I've tested it. I've followed through. Try it and believe and have faith. The night cometh. The night is almost here. Everything doesn't have to be fun. Everything on television shouldn't be vulgar. You want me to read it? Jeremiah 6, verse 15. Jeremiah said of the women of Israel, they cannot blush. You think I'm going to run by that? Blushing is a chemical reaction. You're not really supposed to have any control over it. Something offensive comes, something too risque, and automatically a chemical reaction starts, and your blood flushes the cheeks, and you turn red if you can. But you can become so used to sin, it doesn't bother you. May I tell you something? All the people in Sodom were not Sodomites. Lot had some children there. He went to try to get them. They were not Sodomites, but they thought he was mad when he talked about leaving because of destroying angels. They thought he was crazy. So they were not all into that, but they all died in the same fire with the rest of them. Just think about it. And I'm about to end all of this. It's amazing getting an old preacher started, and he doesn't know when to stop. Well, I'm going to stop. They tell me in the Arctic, biologists say in the Arctic, the birds fly faster than they do down south. They are in a hurry because winter's always coming. Winter's always coming. You can't control it. It happens. I want to close. When I shut it like that, it means I'm going to close. I want to tell you about a friend. What did I call him? Friend. I've never seen him, but he's one of my close friends. I've never seen him. He's half the world away from me. But on my birthday, he phones. He phones me from a high security prison in Australia. Well, Brooks, how did you get connected? I'll tell you how. We went over to preach in Australia. And there was a family that drove down over 100 miles every night. A whole bunch of them, young people, older, and they would love to stay back and say a few words to you. There was a 17-year-old girl, daughter. Some of you have seen her on 3ABN, didn't know who she was or any connection with me. But she was going to prison ministries and helping prisoners. And she came to this fella who was considered extremely dangerous and began to talk to him. And for whatever reason, he was willing to listen. And she said to him finally, I have some cassette tapes by a preacher in North America. Would you like to hear them? Well, yes, he snarled. She brought him, and he started to listen. His name is Jeff. Jeff D. Cross, with a small d. Jeff started listening to those tapes, and the Holy Spirit worked on his heart, and the first thing you know, Jeff wants to be baptized. And he got really upset when they wouldn't allow him to go into town to be baptized. So he called me, half a world away. Pastor Brooks, what shall I do? I said, wait, Jeff, if you got baptized in that little church, only that little crowd would know about it. There would be no witness. But if you get baptized in jail, he said, I never thought of that. I said, that's why you called me. When Jeff was baptized, there were 5 other prisoners won by Jeff and Breath of Life tapes. So one day, prisoners get about 15 or 20 cents an hour, and Jeff was now a trustee. When other prisoners had these terrible problems, they were sent to Jeff for counsel. And one day, Jeff got this notion that if I offer to pay my security clearance, they'll let me go into town to see my church. If I could just see my church. And so Jeff prayed and went down to the main warden's office and walked in and, oh, Jeff, what's on your mind? He said, sir, and he told him, I belong to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I have never seen my brothers and sisters. I've never seen the church. And I've come to ask you, please let me go just one Sabbath. And I am prepared to pay the fee for an attendant to go with me and bring me back. He said the warden pushed back his chair, opened a drawer, and took out a picture of another convict. And he looked Jeff in the eye and said, do you know who this is? Well, yes, sir. He said, okay, I'll make a deal with you. This guy hurt me and my family, and I want you to take care of him. I want him to disappear. And if you take care of that, I'll let you go into town to your church. Jefferson said, but sir, I can't, the men know me as, don't answer now. Come back tomorrow. Jeff had a restless night. He couldn't figure it. Next morning, his heart was set. He went down and knocked respectfully. And he came in. The warden said, have you made up your mind to take care of this guy? And he started methodically telling the man why he couldn't. Christ has made the difference. There was a time I would have done it, but not now. I can't, sir. He said, get out of my office. Get back to what you were doing and don't ever speak to me about this again. So Jeff went out broken. He said to himself, I'll go to my work. And when he got there, the head prisoner in charge said, you have no work here, get out of here. What? So he went up to the library. Same thing. You got no job here. Get out of here. Jeff went to a third place where he had worked a little bit. Same answer. So when he walked outside and was about to pass through, another warden said, Jeff, come here. He went over and he had a bucket and a mop and disinfectant. And he said, I want these toilets clean. That's your work. Jeff said to me on the phone, Pastor Brooks, it shocked me and I didn't like it, but once I got started, he said it was like somebody was in there with me. Now I want to tell you, there was somebody in there with him. He said the first thing you know, I had a system and I'm scrubbing these things and scrubbing the floors and washing them down. And I was going at such a pace when time came to knock off, the warden had to send for me. And he said I went to see him, not the head warden, but another. And he said, it's time to eat. And so when he went to bed that night, he went to bed in peace. Next morning, he would go down and start again. He went down and his bucket was there. He went down and his mop was there. He went down and the disinfectant was there. He picked them all up and loaded them in the big bucket, and he started off down the hall to clean toilets. When word came, Jeff, the main warden wants to see you. So he stopped and he left those things there, and he went and knocked on the door, and he walked in. Sir, I understand you want to see me. Jeff, sit down a minute. You don't have to clean toilets. Go back to the job you enjoyed. This was just a test. Every one of us will be tested as if by fire, says the Spirit of prophecy. Ladies and gentlemen, please, please, when you say your prayers, pray for me. But at least pray. Darkness will cover the earth. Deep darkness the people. And men and women will lose sight of the light of God's presence, will not know what to do, and the enemy will march in and march them off in droves of prisonhood. And some who seem to be the brightest lights will lose their way. I simply want to make it. I want to stand. Gentlemen, Walt, I want to be saved. I don't want to do what I did all this time and be lost. You know what it cost me to go to this school? Cost me $65 a month. Now, that's not money unless you have none. So I worked on the dairy. 3 a.m. we're on our way. A crew of about 12 men. 7 a.m. you're on your way back. Every day, 24/7. And I remember the little story that I got to close on. I was driving right down where it's so beautifully manicured. And somebody said to me, was it like this when you were here? No, that was a wilderness. And that's where the cows slept. And I had to go down and wake them up and get them headed toward the barn. The cows seemed to have had a political thing and voted that Nancy would be the lead cow. Because if you found Nancy and got her started, all the others just trailed along the side. One night I heard a scream coming out of the bushes. They talked about these wildcats. And I hurried up and found Nancy. But I was deep in the middle of that herd, comforted by the fact that if anything is capable of killing and eating, they're going to have enough beef before they get to me. I have good memories, but I want to be saved. How many of you want to be saved? Raise your hand. Oh, yes, sir. We can be, and we can meet on the sea of glass. And there will be time for one-on-one with Jesus because the Spirit of prophecy says so. He's going to take us for a walk beside the crystal stream and there explain to us all the dark providences through which He led us in order to develop our characters. I want to be there. I want to see you there by the grace of God.